Good afternoon, witness number 1 and 2. Welcome back for continuation of your testimonies before this commission. Without much ado, I want to remind you that you are still under oath. Madam Chair, over to you for continuation of our daily proceedings.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sanyang and Mr. Tamura. You're welcome back. Council, can we proceed, please?
Sure. My colleague is going to go through some files with the witnesses.
Have we concluded the last?
I believe there was something that you had asked them to verify.
Yes.
During the break.
Let us find out if they have.
Okay. Mr. Sanyang, was it you? I believe the chair had asked you to check something. I can't recall what exactly it was. But you were supposed to check something during the break.
Yeah, thank you. There are a series of issues that need some clarifications. One of them was to confirm whether the post-review, in the post-review, you know, in KMC they indicated that they experienced some problems the previous years in the drilling of boreholes and so on. So,
KMC or Kerewan?
Sorry, Kerewan.
Yes.
So,
Kerewan.
yes, we were to confirm, but I tried to call, I couldn't. But again, you know, all the post-review reports are with the commission here.
Yes. Okay.
So maybe we can arrange to make those clarifications.
You were going to check as well the other, I believe the Ministry of Fisheries, etc., their costs for boreholes.
No, the cost of the seedlings. It was I was to confirm the cost of the seedlings last year, because this year they are trying to justify how reasonable the $30 per seedling is.
So
that is one of
the was one. Another one was boreholes as well. You had said that you had some that you approved for the Ministry of Fisheries, boreholes that they had dug in communities, etc.
Yes.
I think that was the first one.
Yeah, for the borehole, we just consulted the office and they are making the checks.
Okay.
And there is another one, whether the tree planting was implemented. I just confirmed that it's ongoing.
The one for last rainy season?
No, for this one.
No, that's procurement. Is in respect of that procurement?
Yes.
From last year?
Yes.
So is that the one that's ongoing this year?
Exactly, yes.
The one that they said was urgent?
The file that we were looking at, is it for last year or this year?
For the seedlings?
For the tree
It's a
planting.
2022 procurement. So they had applied in July, 4th of July, to say that it was urgent because they wanted to plant the trees during that rainy season.
Exactly. So I just confirmed that it was not done last year, but they are on it at the moment.
So the reasons that they gave you for last year has been defeated?
Yes, urgency is defeated. We are also to confirm about Omar Kamara, the master plan.
Okay.
Master plan, because Omar Kamara signed.
Okay.
But according to them, Omar Kamara is the chief architect, and he is representing a master plan. But our concern is, if that is the case, who received the payment? And payment is effected to master plan and not to an individual.
And not to who?
To Kamara.
To Omar Kamara.
Yes,
and Omar Kamara is the one that is...
Signed on behalf of the master plan.
No, you're saying that they said he signed on behalf of master plan?
Master plan, yes.
So can you help us get that proof, because it's not apparent anywhere in the documents that you have on the file.
Okay, we can try with the...
Yes, Council, can we proceed?
Was that the last one, Mr. Sanya?
Yes, that was the last one.
Okay, so my colleague is going to go through some files with you.
Yes, good day, honorable commissioners and May I have the secretary to show you this file? That is BAC, that's Brikama Area Council 3 of 21. Can you turn to the letter dated the 1st of July? (2021) and tell us what that file is about.
Yes, Council, there's a letter here dated from Brikama Area Council, dated 1st July 2021.
Yes.
Addressed to the Director General.
Of what? Of
GPPA?
GPPA?
Yes.
Please tell us the contents of the letter.
The subject is submission of list of auction items and GPPA Form 012 and minutes of the contracts committee. The letter reads as thus: I hereby submit GPPA Declaration Form 012, list of auction items and minutes of the contracts committee meeting for your review and approval. Whilst we await your response, please accept the assurances of our highest consideration, signed by Mr. Moru Jonga, the Chief Executive Officer, and other parties copied.
So this file is about the disposal of scrap items that Brikama Area Council intended to embark on, and then they are seeking approval from your office. Is that correct?
For the file in totality,
yes,
it could be that, but the letter I've just read is about the submission of a particular form.
Okay. Now, so if you look at the last page on the file, there is exhibited a list of scrap items that are meant for disposal.
The final list of items, yes, they are marked for auction, yes.
Can you just read the heading on the last page?
Final list of items earmarked for auction.
Final list of items earmarked for auction.
Yes, Council.
Now, you know that the letter purportedly is for the auctioning of certain items that they earmarked.
Okay, Council.
Is that correct?
Yes, Council.
Now, can you tell us, or can you just give us the list of the items that were earmarked for auction?
The list is as follows: BAC 8 station wagon.
One station wagon, yes.
2 BAC 3 Mitsubishi.
One Mitsubishi.
Yes. And 3 BAC 6 Toyota pickup.
Toyota pickup.
4 1 tractor trailer. That's BAC 22.
One tractor trailer.
5 is 1 tractor head.
Yes.
6 is 1 tractor motor head. 7 5 tractor tires. 8 4 scrap tractors. 9 1 tractor tire. 10 4 big metal doors. 11 2 small metal doors. 12 2 roofing truss, that's metal. 13 BAC 55 main truck. 14 BAC 60 main truck. 15 compactor Scania.
Compactors? Scania?
Yes.
So do we know how many compactors Scania?
It's not indicated here.
So we don't know whether it is one or whether it's more than one.
It's not indicated here at all.
So we don't know whether it is one or more than one.
from the records, you cannot know at all.
Okay.
Yes.
And then number 16?
Number 16, main engine block and gear box.
Is that the last one?
Yes, that's the end of the list, and signed by Mr. Ibrahima Sawani, Chairman, Auction Committee.
Now, in that file, is there any application to for the granting of the disposal of these items? You can check the minute sheet. Do you see any?
I'm just trying to rush and confirm. From the minutes, there is a communication here.
Dated? The date?
In fact, it's an attachment. The communication is attached to this letter dated 12 January.
Okay. And what is the communication about?
In the communication, I cannot see the beginning of the communication here from the letter, but
The letter of the 12th January, is it not an updated list of items to be auctioned?
yes, if you check the letter, there are a lot of attached documents.
Yes.
As part of those attached documents, I have seen a communication where there is a reference to getting approval. I think that was a correction.
Yes.
Yes. And it's a document on behalf of the committee and get the necessary approvals from the GPPA.
Yes.
You know, so
that file consists of two applications, all in one. The first purported application is for the granting of approval to auction the items that you have read out.
yes.
And then at some point they also applied or purportedly applied to add about 5 items. That is the letter dated the 12th of January. Is that correct?
Yes, Council.
Now, I just want to see whether they had followed, they're in compliance with the GPA rules. So, on the first part, the letter dated the 1st January 2021, does that suffice as an application?
1st January.
Yes, the one you first read.
No, Council, there is no specific request here for approval.
Okay.
The
Now, you mean there is no specific request for approval, but then they had mentioned about 16 items that they want to dispose of.
Yes.
Before we go into the content, now can you briefly tell us what the process of disposal entails as per the Act and the regulation?
Yes. Yesterday I started it here, and the understanding I was trying to explain was the procedures in the Public Procurement Act is that you need to have a board that will oversee all the disposal, and the board will also establish a disposal committee, briefly a disposal committee, and this disposal committee is tasked with the responsibility to assess the assets or the obsolete assets that are fit for disposal, to assess them, have their reserve prices, make recommendation as to the best disposal methods, then adopt the best approach to the disposal.
That is correct in a summary.
Yeah, that's
now,
the summary.
Now that disposal committee or the board in question, is it the same as having a senior management team meeting?
No. Normally there is no reference to a senior management team in the Act. The reference is to the
board of surveyors.
Boards of survey, the disposal committee, and these people should also be answerable to the accounting officer.
So first, there should be appointed a board of surveyors by the procuring organization.
Yes.
And that is different from the senior management team or meeting.
That's different. In
Totally
fact,
different.
The act did not mention about senior management when it comes to this disposal issue.
So on the 19th of January 2022, there was a communication from GPPA. Do you see it?
19 January 2022, yes, Council.
Is that not granting an approval for the auctioning of the items listed? Can you read the letter?
Okay. The letter is dated 19 January 2022.
Addressed to who?
Addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Birkama Area Council.
Yes.
Caption, submission of updated list of items for auction.
Yes. Those are the items that you have read out.
Before, yes.
Yes. Proceed.
The letter reads, following a careful review of your submission with the evidence of the minutes of your senior management meeting and recommendation dated 12 January 2022, the authority hereby grant approval to proceed with the auction of additional 5 scrap items at the Birkama Area Council as proposed. Furthermore, the authority strongly advise you to follow the disposal procedures stated in the GPPA Amendment Act 2018 Part 11, Section 58, 59, 60, 61, 62 to 63, and submit the disposal report to the authority for our perusal. We thank you for your consideration and sign.
Now, on that date, they granted approval for the additional items that were to be auctioned.
Yes.
Now, do you see any approval that was previously granted for the initial items that you read out, the 16 items?
Let me just confirm, Council. Okay, there's a letter here. Let me just confirm whether there's a letter.
The date?
Dated 15 July.
Yes.
2021.
Yes.
Addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Birkama Area Council. Caption: submission of list of auction items.
Yes.
And GPA Form 012 and minutes of the Contracts Committee. The letter reads, after the reference, having reviewed your submission for the evidence of the minutes of your Contracts Committee meetings, please be informed that the authority hereby grant approval to proceed with the auction of scrap items at Birkama Area Council as proposed. Furthermore, the authority strongly advises you to follow the disposal procedures stated in the Gambia Public Procurement Authority Amendment Act 2018, and the sections are cited as before. We thank you for your cooperation and sign.
That is a letter dated the 15th of July 2021.
Yes, 15 July 2021, yes.
So what difference is that letter to the letter dated the 19th of January 2022? 2022?
Yes, there are some petty differences, but just the fundamental difference.
Yes.
The initial letter, 15 July 2021, gives approvals to proceed with the auctions of scrap items.
Scrap items.
Items. So
15th July.
That's the 15 July 2021.
Yes, and then the one for?
The one for 19 January 2022.
Yes.
The approval is specific to additional 5 scrap items.
Items.
Yes, that's the fundamental difference.
Now, the one for the 15th July 2021, you said that there was no application in the first place in relation to the items that were initially listed. Is that not correct?
Yeah, I said, that's what I was trying to read here. There is some reference. I don't see the beginning of that.
Yes.
So this is a kind of it's photocopied, but because it's page 6. So it being page 6, I don't see page 1 to 5. But in page 6, there is reference to seeking approval from the authority.
Did they reference that particular application?
Yeah, that's what I said. I said I don't see the first page to the 5th page. So the page here is page 6.
Yes.
So in that page 6, then on behalf of the committee and to get the necessary approvals from the GPPA.
So is there any application that you have seen in the file regarding the disposal of the items initially listed?
Yes, in the file presently there is
none.
There is none for the initial
listing. So
yes.
So and then the 15th July 2021 was to grant approval of the 16 items initially listed.
15 July.
Yes, there were 2 approvals. I have already distinguished the fact that
yes.
First you have 16 items earmarked for disposal.
Yes, Council.
Then you have additional 5 items again earmarked for disposal.
Yes, Council.
2 approvals. The first approval on the 15th July 2021 saying that we grant approval for the 16 items.
Yeah, the initial
Then
items,
subsequently 19th in the year 2022 we grant approval for the additional list of items.
5 items.
For it to be disposed. So 5 plus 16. Is that not correct?
Yes, exactly, Council.
So now my point is the first approval was not premised on any application because we have not seen any application from Birikamake Area Council as far as you're concerned, apart from the letter of the 1st July, which you said does not amount to an application. Is that correct?
Yes, Council, from the records here, there is no application except what I just told you.
Yes.
I did not see page 1 to 5.
Yes. So now let's assume it has been granted. But then it made reference the 15th July 2021 letter. Can you again read the letter? Just quickly the contents.
15 July, that's our letter.
Yes.
It's addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Birkama Area Council. Caption: Submission of list of auction items and GPPA Form 012 and minutes of the Contracts Committee.
Yes.
Reference is drawn to your letter BAC 0778 dated 1st July 2021 relative to the above caption matter. Having reviewed your submission with the evidence of the minutes of your Contracts Committee meetings, please be informed that the authority hereby grant approval to proceed with the auction of scrap items at Birkama Area Council as proposed. Furthermore, the authority strongly advises you to follow the disposal procedure stated in the Gambia Public Procurement Authority Amendment Act 2018. So the reference is made part 11, section 58 to 63.
Now, Mr. Tamura, first you have a letter on the 1st July 2021, and you have attached to that letter list 16 items or equipments intended to be auctioned. Is that correct? To be disposed of. Is that correct? That is the first communication.
Yes, Council.
And then your office granted approval.
Yes, to the request.
Yes.
Yes, Council.
And the reasons for granting the approval is based on the fact that there is evidence of Contracts Committee meeting. Is that not correct?
The reason for granting approval?
Yes. You've already read the contents of the letter.
Yes, with evidence of the minutes of the court. Yes.
Yes. And eventually they wrote back to you again saying they have additional 5 items they want to dispose of. and you also granted approval of those 5. Is that not correct?
Yes. The
What,
request,
what are those 5 items that they wanted to dispose of, that you granted subsequent approval for the second time?
let me just quickly browse and
Do you see it?
just quickly browsing to
19th January 2022. You granted approval. So have you seen the attachment of the?
just the 12th January.
On the 12th January, they filed with you an update. It must be in the letter.
There is a list here
Yes,
attached to the request.
exactly.
The request of 12th January.
Can you tell us the list? Can
The
you
list.
can you give us the list? What are the items that they want to dispose
Yeah,
of?
these are updated items for oxen. That, is this different? Okay. You have 1 BAC8 station wagon, grade wall. 2,
That's a vehicle.
yes, station wagon, yes.
2,
2 BAC3 Mitsubishi,
that's another vehicle.
yes.
Proceed.
3 BAC6 Toyota pickup, that's a vehicle.
Please louder.
3 BAC6 Toyota pickup. 4 1 tractor trailer BAC22. 5 1 tractor head. 6 1 tractor motor head. 7 4 tractor tires. 8 1 truck tire. 9 4 scrap tractors. 10 6 big metal doors. 11 2 small metal doors. 12 2 roofing truss in bracket metal. 13 BAC 35 engine move to the 8 tank BAC 36. You have 14 BAC 60 engine move to BAC, then the number 59 body only. 15 compactor Scania. 16 main engine block and gearbox in bracket scrap. 17 2 scrap bins. 18 tractor trailer. 19 compactor man 55. 20 BAC 35. 21 BAC 14. 22 BAC 18. 23 BAC 12. 24 BAC 36.
So, in fact, instead of having 5 additional, they had more than 5. Because if you add 16, the initial list with 5, what will that give us?
16 plus 5 should be 21.
1.
Yes,
But then we have about 24.
yes, according to the list here is 24.
24.
Yes.
So that is more than the approval, the entire approval granted. Is that correct? That will be more. The first approval that was granted is for 16 items
For 16 items.
or equipments.
And the second approval granted according
5.
to the letter is for 5 items.
Yes, but you have more than that.
In the list.
Yes, but that's not even the issue. Now, you granted the first approval because of the fact that there was a contract committee meeting as per the letter. Is that not correct?
Yes, as per the letter.
Which
yes,
contract committee meeting were you referring to? There is one at the back of the file. There seems to be one at the back of the file. Do you see it?
Yes, there are minutes here.
Minutes of what?
Yeah. So the same challenge is coming.
What is coming?
The minutes are here. Page 1 to 5 is not seen. So what I'm seeing here is from page 6.
Do you see contract committee minutes?
From page 6 going ahead, I don't see.
Have you seen any,
I don't see the caption. because
what
page
you
one-
have seen are those minutes of contrast committee meetings?
What is here? What is remaining here is difficult to ascertain, Council, really, hence page 1 to 5 is not seen.
Why is it difficult? If you say it's not seen, it may suggest that it probably is there, but you haven't seen it. It may be missing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
Have you seen evidence of contrast committee meeting in that file?
here, no, what I see here, these are minutes signed by different people.
Have you seen contrast committee minutes in that file?
Indicated. No, Council.
You have not seen it.
Yes, Council.
Now, but then let's even assume there were contrast committee minutes, and then you granted approval. Is that sufficient? For when it comes to disposal of items, is that sufficient? You had already told us what the procedure is. What was at any given point in time the procedure for disposal complied with?
Yeah, it depends on the nature of the minutes of the contrast committee, because the contrast committee, because it is the overall body. Even the committees we are talking about, the board, the disposal committee, they are all answerable to the contrast committee vis-a-vis the accounting officer. So it depends on the nature of the minutes. The minutes can contain the reports of all these committees put together.
Is that you? Is that evidence coming from you, or is that the position of the law when it comes to disposal? I have it in front of me. If you want, we can go through it. You've already discussed it with us, and I've asked you the question whether, in fact, senior staff meetings will amount to the board of surveyors. You said no.
Yeah,
Did you not say no?
yes, Council.
Now, let's assume there was a contrast committee meeting. In fact, when you granted the approval to dispose of the first 16 items, did they follow procedure?
From the records here, no, Council.
No. Now, there are minutes of senior staff meetings. Do you see it on the file?
Senior staff meeting.
Yes. On the 12th, I think, 12th January.
Yes, there is a minute here. Minutes of senior staff meeting. I have seen it dated 12 January.
Did they discuss the issue of these items being to be disposed of?
The agenda reads, from review of the last minutes, matters arising, inclusion of the BAC.
Just please speak louder and tell us what the agenda of the meeting is.
The agenda reads, review of last minutes,
Yes.
matters arising, inclusion of BAC 13, septic tank, BAC 36 in the auction list, any other business.
So in the senior staff meeting, they were discussing about including about 2 items or so in the items to be auctioned. Is that correct?
Yes, Council.
Do you want to say anything else before I proceed?
Sorry?
You want to say anything else before I proceed?
No, no, Council.
Now, at any point in time did the procuring organization set up a board of surveyors in relation to this disposal?
That is not in this file, Council.
Now, on what basis did you grant the application?
Which of the application, the first or the second?
All of the applications. Let's start with the first one. On what basis was it granted? You will agree that this is a very massive auction, right? Is that not correct?
Yes, Council.
Of public items or equipments. And so you granted the application? On what basis?
Yes, according to the letter dated 15 July,
Yes.
the approval was for them to proceed with the auction.
Yes.
Yes, and according to the letter, it was based on the minutes of their contracts committee, according to the letter.
And that is really inaccurate.
And we said that was inadequate.
There was not even there was no evidence of contracts committee. In fact, we know if there were contracts committee meetings, number one, that the members that attend the meeting should sign the minutes.
Perfect.
We don't see evidence of that.
Perfect, Council.
It's not the case. Only one person signed about 2 or 3 pages of documents that are said to be minutes of contracts committee meetings. Is that not the case?
Right, Council.
And the individual's name is?
I think it's only what I saw here.
What is the individual's name?
One I saw here is Mr. Siru Kunta, procurement manager.
And the CEO?
Secretary. And Mr. Molu Jonga, CEO.
CEO,
and
yes.
Chairman.
Two of them. So only 2 of them signed, and then you don't even see an agenda or anything. There are no minutes in that. Those are not minutes. But then the most important thing is they did not follow any of the procedure. There was no board of directors set up. They did not conduct any investigation to actually come up with a report, which is a requirement of the law. Is that not the case?
Yes, Council.
And that report had to be reacted upon by the CEO to either accept or reject the report.
Yes, Council.
Is that not a requirement?
Yes, Council.
So none of these were followed.
Yes, Council. That's why if you check in our letter of approval, they were advised to conduct the auction in accordance with the law.
No, but they are at this point conducting the auction. The conducting of the auction starts from the application, which you are supposed to grant. If you refuse the application, they cannot go ahead. If you grant it, they have to go ahead. So if you grant the application, it means that they have satisfied the conditions. Or do you grant applications subject to satisfying the conditions, or should it be the other way around?
No, normally before you conduct anything, the condition has to be met.
Exactly.
Before you are able to execute.
No board of surveyors set up, no report generated. The CEO did not react to whether the report that is generated would be is accepted or rejected. If rejected, the reasons given therein. None of these things happened. But your office decided to grant approval for the auctioning of these items, and I want to understand why that was the case. Yes, sir.
Yeah, there is no evidence to suggest exactly what was the case.
There is no evidence to suggest what?
There is no evidence to suggest. You said what was the case.
Yes.
I said there is no evidence to suggest what was the case, but like what is very clear here from the records is the procedures were wrong.
We are entirely wrong.
Yes, Council.
And in addition to that, you also granted an additional 5 items that
Yes,
were to be auctioned.
Yes, Council.
And what was the reason as per the letter?
Yes, a similar reason stated initially minutes of the senior management and recommendations.
What minutes were they referring to at that point in time as well?
Yeah, the attached minutes here
Yes.
is the one I make reference to, where you have the 5 missing pages.
I don't understand. The first minutes are in relation to the 16 items. And now 5 were to be added, and then there were no evidence of another meeting being held to discuss of those 5 items. You still granted application for that. Is that the case?
Yes, Council.
You relied on one purported minutes that only mentioned of 16 items, and that even there were not even sufficient evidence to even conclude that amounts to a contracts committee meeting. In fact, that doesn't amount to a contracts committee meeting, but you subsequently gave approval of 5 others relying on the same minutes, which never mentioned those 5 items to be disposed of.
Right.
How do you explain that?
It's difficult to explain at this juncture, Council.
And you see, when you look at the letter dated the 12th day of January 2022 from Brikama Area Council, can you tell us what the reference of the letter is? That is with respect to the update of the list, yes.
Yes, that's the letter, Council.
Please give us the reference.
The reference is BAC/077/A.
Does that reference number ring a bell?
No, Council.
We were here yesterday and we had discussed about this. Mr. Sayang, does that reference letter ring a bell?
It appears to be the same reference with what we were looking at here.
Used in different transactions, different communications,
Correct.
in different files by Brikama Area Council, and then the ones that we see that even the logos would appear to be being tampered with. Is that not correct?
Correct.
So when you granted this approval, even the first 16 items, the subsequent 5 items, and we have seen an additional 2 or 3 items in that auction. And the idea is, should something happen after you have granted approval, when a procured organization conduct the disposal of items or goods or equipments, what should be the next step?
So after the disposal, they are expected to generate a report.
Yes, and then?
Yes.
And then do what with the report?
Submit the report to the authority for approval.
And is there a timeline for that report?
Normally the report should be the evaluation report or assessment report, and normally according to regulations, there is no fixed timeline, but
14 days.
Yeah, well, once you open the...
There is a fixed timeline.
Yeah.
14 days. Section 63, sub 2 says, every disposal made by a procuring organization under subsection 1 shall be reported by the accounting officer or head of the procuring organization to the authority within 14 days of the disposal.
Okay.
Which year was the last disposal, the approval of the disposal granted? What was the date?
The last approval?
Yes.
That's 19 January 2022.
And today is what? Is it the 24th?
24th August 2023.
Did you receive any report?
No report.
Did you request for any report?
No Council.
And why is that?
We did not receive it. We did not receive any report, and we did not request any report.
And why is that? When probably public funds are in question, you don't really care about whether they actually disposed, because there are rules of this in relation to disposing public items or goods or equipments, so that people will not just share these public properties and then just do some kind of I don't know how to even call it, just not even conduct a proper auction and share these goods among themselves. How would you know if that was the case?
We wouldn't know.
But then you don't have any interest to know, because in the first place you know that they did not comply with any of the rules or regulations, but you granted all these approvals. It appears to be more like a business as usual. Should this particular application be granted at any given point in time? Mr. Sayang.
Council, for me, what I am looking at is, this is an approval request.
Yes.
Requesting approval for them to proceed.
Yes.
And we gave them approval to proceed with this thing. We have no objection to their request for them to proceed. And we advise them to go by what the law provides for. And what the law provides for auctioning are as follows. Number one.
You don't need to do that. You need to go there. So now what I want to ask you is, Mr. Sajang, are you telling me if applications are being sent to your office, the application itself alone will suffice? That you can only advise the procurement organizations just go and abide by the law? Is that your job?
When requests are sent to the authority.
No. First answer the question and proceed. If applications are sent to your office for approval, what do? You just approve and tell them, make sure you abide by the law?
Now, this is a request.
No. Is that the procedure or is that not the procedure? Do you make sure you see that they are abiding by the...
Yes, we advise them. It depends on the nature of the application, because you have different requests. Some of them will request for a procurement method and a bidding document, and in that case, the procurement method will be approved.
So why are they then applying for approval?
They are requesting approval for them to proceed, but to ensure that when in doing that, they must abide by what the law provides for.
Did they apply
and
for that?
That is, in fact, at this stage, we cannot even say that the auction has taken place. We advise them to go by the law and no respond again. And according to the law, procuring organizations should submit procurement proceedings at every stage. The first stage is an application for them to proceed with and we advise them to go by the law. And the law says, number one, they have to do X, Y, and Z, and they are expected to report back to the authority at every stage.
Why are you given the mandate to approve? On what basis do you approve or disapprove?
We are giving them no objection, that we have no problem. Let them proceed.
No.
Ensure that...
See, Mr. Sayang, let us not try to be very smart with this.
We are not trying to be smart.
No, not you, not we, you. Mr. Tambura is very clear on this. You are the one who is trying to be very smart with this, and you know you're not even getting anywhere. The procuring organization should send applications for approval to your office. Is that not the case?
Correct.
Is the application for approval automatic?
No.
When you say no, what do you mean?
It's not automatic.
Yes, when you say it's not automatic, what do you mean? It is subject to some considerations.
Correct.
What are these considerations?
Number one, there must be certain documentations that must...
Certain documentation must be present to make sure it gives you better information as to whether you approve or disapprove. Is that the case?
For me, my understanding would be like all the stages that are mentioned, Section 58 to this thing must be abided by. So meaning that they must set a board of surveyors.
Were you in a position as a procuring authority to disapprove this application?
Yes.
On what grounds would you disapprove this application?
The only grounds that we could have disapproved is because the document is not coming from the contrast committee. That's it.
So what are you talking about now? Is that not what the crux of our discussion is? That they did not follow procedure. The document should have come from where?
No.
Where should the document come from?
From the contrast committee.
Exactly. Now that's one. The law is saying there should be a board of surveyors. Do you see any evidence of an acceptance of disposal by even the CEO as the law requires?
For me, my argument is like, apart from the documents coming from the contrast committee, suppose it is from the contrast committee, all other subsequent stages should have been submitted to the authority for approval.
Council, let me comment here. Mr. Sanyang.
Yes.
I think what Council is trying to figure out is the fact that the law explicitly provides for the process.
Correct.
And if I could recollect, you have taken us through the fact that procurement is a process.
Correct.
And for disposal too, the law has provided provision
Correct.
of how this procurement has to be done.
Correct.
And for you to approve, is it do you have to see evidence of them following procedure, or you just approve when they request for approval?
There must be evidences.
Exactly, that is what council is trying to put across to you, that in this circumstance, there is no evidence put to you. So you ought not to have approved, because there is no evidence pursuant to what is provided for in section 58 of the Act. Is that not it?
Honorable
Yes, you
Chair,
can
Honorable
explain.
Chair, I agree. My only point is, like, if this submission came with a recommendation that we want to award to Mr. X, Y, and Z, now our question would have been, we cannot approve because we are not sure whether you have
No, but
followed due process. But here they are requesting us to give approval for them to go. So in doing so, they must ensure that every provision of the Act is complied with. So from here, we even expect that at every stage they resubmit for our. Now we have given them the green lights for them to proceed with the procurement, but ensure that they must go by what the law provides for.
no, but I seem to be at a loss, because if they write to you requesting that they want to dispose of their obsolete equipments,
I think
I understand what you are saying, but I am at a loss simply because if they apply to you to say they want to dispose of this,
correct.
and in that application, you've not seen accompanied in that application that they have constituted this board of they have convened a board of survey. There has been recommendation approved by the head of procurement. You've not seen evidence of all of these things that are provided for in section 58, 59, and 60. Particularly note section 60, which says a procurement organization shall establish a disposal committee in accordance with the regulations for the purpose of recommending the best method of disposing of unserviceable, obsolete, or surplus stores or equipment. So, during the course of the application, did you have evidence to say that all of this are present?
They are not yet to that stage. They are requesting for approval for them to proceed with the procurement method, which has been given. So now...
So which method have they proposed to
We
use?
are advising them to go by the law, a board of surveyor and X, Y, and Z. If
all
those things are followed, they will now determine a procurement method that they are going to use to get these things, and then we expect them to report back to the authority for approval for them to proceed.
So in your letter,
methods.
did you mention the provisions of the law?
Yes, they are all cited here
In
our approval.
In the
We
approval.
ask them to ensure that if they are to go on as requested, they ensure that they go by what the law provides for section 58, 59, and so on. That is one, they must establish a board of surveyor. Number two, they must do X, Y, and Z, and then expect them to report back to the authority before they proceed.
So, but aside from that letter asking you for approval, did they send any subsequent information to your office to indicate that they have complied with what you said?
Here, unless if it is provided, therefore we assume that the auction is not done because we expect them to fulfill all these requirements and come back to the authority.
Yeah, yes, and this auction was for when? Which year?
The application was in 2022. Yes.
So, but after this letter, did you receive anything from the council?
We did not receive any
We did
communication
not. We
from
did
the
not.
Brikama Area Council.
And you also did not make any follow-up to find out what has happened?
We did not cancel.
So, would I be correct to say that if approval is granted at the level of the authority, would the POs not take it as an opportunity to do all that they need to do without following due process?
If they do so, they are doing that, they are not complying with the rule, because clearly we have said to them that they should go by what the law provides for. And according to the Act for procurement, every single stage must be submitted to the authority for approval.
Council, you may. Thank you for the explanation.
You are providing very misleading answers. Really misleading answers. Let's just take this back very, very quickly. At what point does the authority come into play when it comes to disposal?
At what point?
Yes.
What I understand is disposal is part of procurement. And the law says that...
You are trying to separate it. That's the point. Now, what point does your authority come to play when it comes to disposal?
Well, starting from the request for approval for them to proceed with the...
And I asked the question, starting from the request for approval, is the request for approval automatic?
It's not automatic.
Exactly. Now, it means you are in a position to either reject or approve. Is that not the case?
Correct.
On what basis are you going to reject an application to grant an approval for the disposal of items or goods or whatsoever?
Council, what I said initially is
Can you answer my question first? If you are to refuse approval or the granting of an approval for disposal, what would be some of the grounds that you may not grant approval?
We will reject if the procedures are not followed.
And what are these procedures?
One, there must be a board of surveyor and the like, as listed in this thing.
1, 2,
Disposal committee.
6, 15. Disposal.
yes,
The head of a procurement entity shall convey a board of survey comprising representative of departments with unserviceable, obsolete, or surplus stores. This must be presented.
yes. And then subsection 2.
Okay.
Remember that board of surveyors report can either be rejected by the CEO or approved by the CEO. Is that not the case?
Correct.
And so if it is approved, you need evidence of that approval before you can grant your approval. Is that not the case?
Council, sorry.
Is that
for me, my argument is
no. Wait a minute. Answer the question and then give you explanation.
Okay.
Is that not the procedure? That even if the board of surveyors determine that they want to engage in disposal, section 2 is saying that the board of surveyors recommendations shall be approved by the head of the procured entity and the items shall be disposed of as approved.
Correct.
Is that not the case?
Correct.
So there should be an approval even from the CEO.
Correct.
So now, if they apply to your office for approval to go ahead, you need evidences, as you said.
So, Council, in this case, they have not done all these things.
Yes.
Now, they are suggesting to us that they want to embark on what? Disposal.
Yes.
We are telling them we have no objection. You can proceed.
No, you didn't say that. You said in your letter, you are granted approval on the grounds that there is evidence of contracts committee meetings. If you want, we can go back to the letter.
And
can we go back to the letter? Please read the letter, please. And then we move on. We have other parts to take. Can you please go back to the letter? Mr. Tambura, can you please give my friend the letter for him to read?
There are 2 letters from...
The first approval.
You mean our approval?
Yes. Just give it to Mr. Sayang to read, please.
I think that's the one dated 15 July.
That is what?
The one dated 15 July.
I believe.
Yeah.
The contents, just the contents.
having reviewed your submission with evidence of the minutes of your contracts committee meeting, please be informed that the authority hereby grant approval to proceed
That's okay.
with the auction.
Is that not the ground for granting the approval? Going by the letter?
Yes. But can I?
You can go ahead.
I said yes, and if you
Please
listen to
please
what I
proceed.
was saying, I said that this thing should have been even rejected in the sense that the request is not coming from the contracts committee. That
Yes.
I said.
Yes.
But I said, suppose it is from the contracts committee. It doesn't mean that we are giving approval for them to proceed without all these requirements being met. They can proceed, but ensure that they have all the requirements that are requested for. To repeat again, I said it should not have been because it didn't. The request is not coming from the contract.
Just
That
one,
I agree.
just
That-
one question and we wrap up. In summary,
Correct.
is there evidence of approval for disposal at the level of the procuring organization which will warrant you to grant approval in this case?
Suppose council, this came from the right
You
committee. Yes, this is
not
when they should now
answering
go
the-
further to bring
Mr.
a doc.
Sorry, Council. Sorry, Mr. Sanya. Mr. Sanya, I believe that you understand Council's question. Please answer the question so that you will not be presuming for things that are not in the file. Because this will pose some technical challenges. Because this is your evidence. So what he is asking, these are direct questions relative to what is contained in the file. So you answer the question. If you want to have an additional explanation, you explain to clarify.
Okay.
You understand? Or to debunk any assumption in his question. But you cannot answer the question by assuming things that are not in the file.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there evidence of approval for disposal of these items at the level of the procuring organization prior to your approval?
No.
Was this particular procurement, this disposal, was it supposed to in fact be approved at any given point in time, Mr. Sanya?
No.
So it was entirely wrong. And to add, to make matters worse, after 14 days, you are supposed to be notified to the form of a report regarding the disposal. But you haven't had any report. Is that not correct?
Correct.
And you haven't requested for any report. Is that not correct?
Correct.
Any questions by the commissioners before I move to another file?
No question. For me. Any questions from the members?
Saying we have 2 of 20. The purchase of 1,680 bags of rice. Let's just quickly deal with this one. There was an application for single sourcing for 1,680 bags of rice at an amount of $940,800. Yes. Now, to start with, is that amount within the threshold for single sourcing? What is the threshold for single sourcing?
The threshold for single source for goods and services is $20,000.
Now, going by that file, what was the reasoning or the justification given by the procured organization for the use of single source?
The justifications on Form 003.
003.
It is an emergency situation.
Yes.
There is not much stock available. The price offered is below the
Did they disclose
is below the market
price?
and the time is of utmost essence.
They are saying that it's an emergency situation and then the price is below the market price. Is that not correct?
Correct.
What was the market price at the time?
According to estimates on Form 100, the market price was 1,680
1,680 for what? Per bag.
Per bag, yes.
And then how about this 1,680 bags of rice? What was a bag for? It appears to be this 5 something. Is it 560?
Quantity 560 bags.
Yes. So now, was there an evidence of market survey? Were you given, at any given point in time in 2020, did you have access to the procurement plan for Brikama Area Council?
I am not sure, but the procurement plans are submitted as requested. They are here. Lest we can confirm, because some of them are missing. I'm not sure whether that one is part of what is submitted.
Yes, I believe your colleague can help you in that. Let's see whether there is evidence of, if you see it, whether there's a procurement plan first and whether the amount stated as being the market price for the year 2020 is in the procurement plan. But in addition to that, Mr. Sayang, we may proceed. When on Form 003, how was the supplier identified? They gave an explanation as to how the supplier was identified.
Now, according to them, they came with the offer.
No, read it verbatim.
Yes, that is what I am doing.
Yes.
They came with the offer as they probably knew that we would certainly need it.
So the supplier at some point sat wherever he or she was and realized that Brikama Americans would have needed this rice.
It's an unsolicited proposal.
Yes, and you are even laughing. Huh? It's very funny, is it not? Is that not the case?
Well,
so what they are saying in their evidence as to how they identified the supplier is that the supplier probably knew that they needed this rice, and so therefore he came and offered them the rice because he knew that they were in their need of the rice. What do you make of that?
Council is very interesting. So,
absolutely interesting.
Definitely, I cannot.
But it was granted. You see, as interesting as it is been granted. I mean, they were innocent of this as far as they're concerned. They don't know about this supplier. They have no idea where he or she is. All of a sudden, he popped up somewhere and told them, "I knew you would want rice, so therefore I have rice to sell to you," and that's how it goes. But then, the 1,680 bags of rice was subsequently approved. Is that not the case?
Yes, approval is granted.
What do you have? Do you see the letter of approval?
Dated 30th April 2020.
Yes. Can you please read to us the letter of approval?
A request for approval to a single source. The authority acknowledges receipt of your letter reference BAC stroke 077 stroke A is the same reference anyway, dated 29 April 2020 relative to the above caption. We have reviewed submission and recommendation for award of contract relative to the procurement of 1,680 bags of 20 kg rice and transportation. Based on the circumstances regarding the said procurement and as per Section 44C of the Gambia Public Procurement Act, Amendment Act 2018, I hereby convey to you the authority's approval to award the contract as recommended by the Contracts Committee to Blueprint Company Limited at a total bid price of 967,680.
Now, two things. Number one, you said based on the circumstances. What were the circumstances? Is it because of the emergency situation that they cited?
Actually, maybe if I have time to go over briefly what in the minutes of the Contracts Committee.
What is the date of the minutes? 27th April?
Yes, 27th April 2020
Yes.
at 12 p.m.
Were those minutes signed?
I show only one signature and an attachment.
One signature. Who signed the minutes?
Sedu Kunta,
What is
procurement
his,
manager.
what is his designation?
Procurement manager
Yes.
and secretary.
And then the attachment you see, what is that attachment? A photocopy
Yes,
of signatures.
correct.
So you have a typed copy of minutes signed by the procuring manager. And you have a photocopy of signatures. You see, Brikama Area Council, what they do, they probably have a photocopy of signatures. In all or most of the file, do you see that all the Contracts Committee purported minutes, you see signatures being photocopied and the minutes will be typed? Is that not the case? Have you not dealt with files like that? In fact, all of these files.
Correct.
So in that particular file, the minutes are being typed and signed by the program manager who's requested. But then the evidence of the signatures of the members were all photocopies.
Correct.
What would you say about that?
It's a red flag for maybe fraud or whatsoever.
And it should not be really taken to be minutes of Contracts Committee meetings.
Correct.
But it was made reference to, it was taken as a Contracts Committee meeting and approval was granted. But then for single sourcing, in the case of an emergency, what did the law say about an emergency? To what level
According to
must
the law,
emergency rise
emergency that is not
to? Life-threatening.
life-threatening and is not due to the directory conduct of the procuring organization. No, that. Anyway.
See, if you if you start to murmur, well, how will we get the evidence?
Okay.
You see, you have to be clear. The idea is this particular procurement does not qualify to even be considered as a single source because they don't meet any of the requirements. Is that not the case?
Correct.
And so the mere mention of an emergency alone does not suffice.
Correct.
So it's very easy for anyone to just mention that we are in a state of emergency and therefore you should grant the spending of about $1 million with no evidence of a Contracts Committee meeting, with one individual signing and requesting for these documentations.
Correct.
So on the 27th day of April 2020, that was the purported day of the Contracts Committee meeting.
Correct.
The procuring manager signed the minutes. Is that the case?
Yes.
The typed minutes.
Correct.
And then he subsequently signed the photocopy part of it, the attachment.
Correct.
Do you see that?
Yes.
Good. Now, what happened when there is an award of that nature? Should that not be published as well? Notice of it be published?
Yes, supposed to.
Was that done?
No evidence.
There was no evidence of that.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any questions before we move to the other one?
No question. Any question?
It's COVID-19.
Yes, can you please hand over that file? Yes, it's one file.
This is BCC. Okay.
One of 21. That is about the drilling of boreholes, about 2 boreholes. One in Fonyi Bundali and the other in Jarol. You can make reference to the letter dated the 22nd day of March 2021. Is that not the application for the tender of, or the submission of tender for the drilling of the 2 boreholes? Do you see the letter?
Yes, there's a letter dated 22nd
What is the
March.
letter about?
The letter is from the Birkama Area Council, addressed to the Director General, Gambia Public Procurement Authority.
Yes.
And the letter reads, submission of tender documents for the drilling of 2 boreholes in...
Louder, please.
The letter reads, caption, submission of tender documents for the drilling of 2 boreholes in Fonyi Bondali and Jarol districts, West Coast region.
Yes. Now, what is the process for? That seems to be an application for an open tender. Is that not correct?
Yeah, it's an application, submission of tender document for... I have not seen whether it's open tender yet from the first letter here.
Yes. But they did not provide that whether it is also restricted tender or not.
Yeah, from this letter you cannot know.
Yes.
Yes.
But the approval, you approved on the 25th of March 2019. What were you approving?
Yes. Yeah, but just to buttress, if you see the attachments of the, sometimes from the attachment of the letters,
Yes.
you may know the purpose of the application.
So what is the purpose?
Yeah.
And please refer us to the attachment, and that will give you the knowledge that it is.
Yeah, just to, we have minutes of the contracts committee, and the agenda is review of the previous meeting, matters arising, boreholes for Fonyi, AOB.
Yes.
And in the minutes, it is indicated that the meeting agreed that the tender documents be submitted to GPPA for approval.
Yes.
Yes.
So you approved on the 25th of March 2019. Can you tell us or refer us to your approval?
Yes, there is a letter from GPPA dated 25th March 2021.
Yes, sorry, 2021, sorry.
Yes, addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Birkama Area Council.
Yes.
Caption, submission of tender documents for the drilling of 2 boreholes in Fonyi Bondali and Jarol district,
Yes.
West Coast region. The letter reads, having reviewed your submission, please be informed that the authority hereby gives approval of your bidding document and the intended procurement method. OP for the drilling of 2 boreholes in Fonyi, West Coast region. Ensure that the date of the bid opening be incorporated in the bidding document before issuing the bidders, and send us a copy of the for our records.
Now, what were you approving?
We are that's the procurement method.
Which is?
Open tender.
How do you know that?
But here what is written is OP.
What is OP?
I don't know.
But then you conclude it is for open tender.
Yeah, the OP.
OT.
Open tender is OT.
OT.
But what is put here is OP, and there is no OP as a method.
So you are assuming it is for open tender?
Yeah, I think that's the safe conclusion.
That is safe conclusion. So you see, even the approving authority, when we have the procurement organization not knowing what they are applying for, and the approving authority don't know what they are approving. You see, and you guys are experts, huh? It appears as if, see, when you do something giving total disregard to the law, eventually you appear to be an amateur. That's what it gives you. Because at some point it appears as if you don't really care about the law. I mean the authority itself, not the two of you sitting down, but GPA itself. For a long period of total disregard to what the procedure is, at some point you really appear to be just doing business as usual. Probably you are party to any form of collusion or not. But then, in this, let's go by the trend that it is for OT, open tender.
Yeah.
What are the rules governing OT?
Yeah. If you check the minutes, in their minutes, it's indicated clearly that it's open tender.
Yes. So they read the minutes. See, there are no minutes, but we'll come to that. Those minutes, they don't suffice. You know what I'm talking about, but we'll come to that. I haven't read that yet.
Yeah.
But what do you have there?
Yeah, it is captioned minutes of the contracts committee.
Yes.
So in one of the paragraphs, I just want to buttress the fact that it was open tender.
Does that minutes suffice as contracts committee minutes?
I have to.
By your assessment?
Yeah, I did not go over the whole content, but it's only signed by 2, and the minimum requirement should be 3.
No, the minimum. Please proceed.
Mr. Tambura, at this point, is it your duty to really go into the documents and find out what the intention of the OP is? Because during your absence, Mr. Sanyang has clearly indicated that you don't descend into micromanaging these OPs. So I have a difficulty in appreciating where an application was not made, knowing fully well that if they apply for a particular procedure, you will hold them responsible for following due process in dealing with that, because they are requesting and they are telling you that this is the process we want to use. So where you are not clear, why didn't you write back to say, I cannot see any application for a process that you want to use, even though I have noted this in one of your write-ups? Because Council is just telling us that those minutes are not proper minutes pursuant to what the law is providing for. Then I believe it would have been in your place to write, refer them, and let them do the right thing, so that at the end of the day, you will hold them accountable. Because if you say you believe it's open tender, when we proceed on finding out whether they followed due process in using open tender, you will realize that they did not follow due process. On the review of the file, you will realize that they did not follow due process to use that actual method. Right?
That's correct, yeah.
So.
Yes, so the contracts committee minutes that you're talking about, is it the one dated the 9th of March 2021?
Yes, Council.
And who signed the minutes?
The printed, that's the typed one.
Are there 2 versions of the minutes?
I did not see that yet. I'm just opening page by page.
Yes.
So the first signatories here is Mr. Sidu Kunta, that's the procurement manager and secretary. The second is Mr. Moru Jonga, CEO and chairman.
So the two of them signed the typed version.
Yeah.
Do you see any photocopy?
Any photocopy of the minutes?
Yes.
No, Council.
Do you see any attachment?
There is an attachment
Of?
Caption minutes of the contracts committee meeting.
Yes, that's what I mean by saying there are two versions, there are two parts in the of the minutes. You have the typed version and the signature part, where you will have the contracts committee members signing. That one is always a photocopy.
Yes, that's the attendance. Yes.
As attendance, that's what it's always photocopy.
Yes.
So, and again, just to correct ourselves, did the law say minimum of 3, or is it more than half of the members of the contracts committee?
If you look at the composition of the contracts committee, the law make reference, there could be a general rule generally that for a quorum to be attained, you need to have at least a simple majority.
Yes.
But if you make reference to the law,
Yes.
the act make reference to 3 permanent and a possibility of 1 as an ad hoc member.
No, but what makes a quorum?
A simple majority.
Yes, which is more than half.
Yes.
If the number is 6, it has. If the number is 6, it has to be 4.
Yeah, that's simple majority. Yes.
Yes, that's simple majority.
Yes.
So the idea that it has to be 3-3 probably would be just how you see things based on the fact that there are 3 important key members, but the law says simple majority. More than half of the members. So if the number is 10, the number is 10, then it has to be at least 6.
Yes, that's natural.
Yes. So that is the quorum for contracts committee. But again, my point is that document we have, does that suffice as minutes of contracts committee?
No, Council.
Mr. Sayan? It does not.
No.
Exactly. Thank you very much. And then, so for open tender, what are the requirements generally? Just briefly. Are there any requirements for advertisement?
Yes, in fact, that's the fundamental requirement.
At what stage should you be notified of an advertisement as the authority?
After the approval of the procurement method,
Yes.
yes, and the bidding document,
Yes.
subsequently, the next stage would be advertisement.
And then when do you have evidence of advertisement?
When they are submitting the evaluation report.
Report to you.
Yes.
Attached to it must be evidence of the procedures after your approval.
Exactly. Council.
They had submitted evaluation report, but did you see any advertisement in that? I think on the 14th May 2021, there you have the report.
The evaluation report.
Yes. It appears to be in a photocopy form. Do you see it?
I've seen one 17 May.
On the what?
17 May.
17 May.
Yes.
Very well. Do you see any advertisement on that?
No, Council, no advertisement here seen.
And on the 26th May, you sent a letter saying that you could not make a decision on the application at that level.
26 May.
Yes.
Okay, there's a letter from the authority.
And you, what is the content of the letter? Just briefly.
It's addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Birkama Area Council. Caption: submission of evaluation report and bids.
Submission of?
Evaluation report.
Yes.
And bids.
Yes.
We refer to your letter dated 17 May 2021.
You were referring to their evaluation report. Is that not the case?
Yeah, we refer to a letter dated 17 May.
That is a submission of the evaluation report.
Yes.
Yes, please proceed.
Corruption, yeah. Following a careful review of your submission, please, the authority regrets to inform you that it cannot make an informed decision on your submission due to the awarding supplier not meeting certain important evaluation criteria set forth in the bidding document as follows. A, the BOQ contingency.
Please, louder, louder. At this stage, they had intended to award a particular supplier. Is that not the case?
Yes, they made recommendation for award.
Recommendation for award.
Yes.
And you are rejecting the recommendation for award on certain grounds.
Yes.
And what are these grounds?
Yes. One, they said the recommended bidder
Yes.
did not meet certain issues here, and one is the BOQ contingency, which was factored by the recommended supplier, which can lead to possible claim of variations during contract execution. B, the recommended supplier, Base Lateral Drilling and Plumbing Enterprise, added some items to the BOQ, and he gave example of the items that he added. C, your warranty period was not indicated by the recommended bidder. D, the CV for the following personnel for the assignment were not attached to verify their qualification. Then he gave example of those personnel, the foreman, the borehole driller, etc. Experience of 7 years and 5 years of similar work. There is a place you are therefore required to proffer explanation to the highlighted anomalies and resubmit for our consideration.
So you raised some technical concerns regarding the qualification of the bidder that they intended to give the award to.
Yes, Council.
And also the relation to the bill of quantity as well.
Yes, Council.
And then the issue of advertisement, whether in fact the process was subjected to the proper process in relation to open tender. Did you at any given point in time address that issue?
From the records here, no. Council. No.
And then we had gone with the line that it was an open tender.
Yes, that was the request.
And there was no evidence that the issues this was subject to the rules governing open tender.
Yes, no evidence.
But still, your rejection at this level is only on more of technical grounds.
Yes.
But subsequently, they wrote to you on the 15th of June, 2021.
Council, before proceed, I haven't seen where they did bid opening to indicate who is the winner in this contract. Did they provide any information as to the number of bidders that participated, and they conducted bid opening, and because your letter indicates that they did that process, and as it is as a result of assessing the bids, that is how you came up with this technical information. So prior to this technical information, was there any information as to the number of participants, you understand, and then all their qualifications and or not their qualifications provided for?
Yes, Chair. Normally, that information you just referred to comes with the evaluation report.
So in this instance, is it in the evaluation report? And do we know how many people tendered for this?
All that should be captured in the evaluation report. I can just confirm from the evaluation report.
It is not there.
It's not. Okay.
But please confirm. Don't take my word for it. Maybe I didn't see it.
Council, there is a photocopied document here. Caption, evaluation report, dated 14 May 2021.
Yes.
Stamped by the Birkam Area Council. That's drilling of 2 boreholes and its accessories within the Birkam Area Council framework.
The chairperson is asking is probably in line with what I was asking. I even have it in my notes, that the rules for open tender, 1, there were no advertisements, and number 2, whether in fact there was any form of having the bids being opened. We know the number of people. We know in that file there were 3. They said to us there were 3 people who actually bid for this, and then one was appointed or so, or selected. Even the process itself, the opening, we all know the process of bid opening, whether there was evidence of that. Please advise us on that.
Yes, I understand. I was just trying to answer her question whether there was an evaluation report. That's why I made reference to this, because the bid opening report comes with the evaluation report. So that's what I was trying to answer.
Yes, so is it there?
So that's the document I make reference to. That
take us through so that we have an understanding of who participated,
yeah,
and whether there was any checklist to confirm that the one that was selected met the requirements.
yeah. If you check the evaluation report here, they are indicating, because it has numbers, number 13, they are saying there was a publication on the mass media.
But was the publication attached?
No, no. It wasn't attached. And the deadline for the submission of bids was on the 7th of April. And the name of the bidders, that's Munyagen Engineering and Workshop, SAPS Trading, Unique Solution Energy, and Basse Latrical Drilling and Plumbing Engineering. According to the report, these were the participating bidders.
I like to go straight to the point. Is there evidence of advertisement first?
No, there is no evidence. That's what I said.
Is there evidence of any process, at any given point in time wherein the bids were opened?
That's the bid opening.
Yes.
There is no evidence as per the file here. Yes.
Yes. So all you have is just them filling in spaces, trying to tell you that there were advertisements done. We have done X, Y, Z, but there was no evidence of any of those processes being done. In fact, for the bid opening, would they not have notified you?
Normally, just after bid opening, do you mean invitation?
Yes.
Yes. Some institutions do invite, sometimes they don't invite.
Yes.
Yes.
But then, do you have, how many people submitted? Is it 3
According
suppliers?
to the submission here is 4.
4.
Yes.
Do you have any, at any given point in time, whether the bids that they have submitted? Is that in the file? The tender?
Yeah. The bids are not here, but logically, our letter where we highlighted certain technical issues could have only been generated with reference to the bids from the bidders, because that's why he was able to establish.
Come again, you said logically?
I mean, I just read here a letter from the authority.
Yes.
Dated 26 May.
Yes.
Highlighting certain anomalies.
No, those anomalies have nothing to do with either the advertisement or the bid opening process. We had already discussed that those anomalies were directly towards the awardee, the intended awardee. Is that not the case?
Yes,
It only addressed issues regarding the person that they intended to award the contract.
yes, that's what
And then it highlighted issues regarding the technical capacity of the individual and the expertise as the experience, that the CV of the individual. Is that not the case?
Yes, I'm talking the same language.
Yes, but I want to be very clear
Yes.
that letter did not address anything regarding whether the procedure was done, whether in fact it had evaluated the other three suppliers or whatsoever who took part in this tendering process. It did not.
Yes, Council, the bills will help us ascertain exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Yes, what I want to find out is that whether the evaluation criteria set out in the bid document, whether those issues are not normally captured in the minutes in a form of metrics to show, you understand, who qualified for what.
Yes, you know, that is internal.
Because it is, yes, because it is only in those minutes that you could see, because we are told that the evaluation criteria is normally set out in the bid document. So for you to appreciate that there was a contracts committee meeting or there was an evaluation report generated as a result of looking into the bid documents, you will have to see evidence of, you understand, the criteria being set out, whether those criteria have been met. And different POs use different formats to show you that as an authority, right?
Yes.
Okay, in this instance, is that available in the file?
No, Council, no, Chair.
The reason why, just to tell you, there is no evidence of any form of following process when it comes to open tender, because on the 7th of April 2020, there is a letter attached, and then the organization was trying to provide justification to your office to show that the invitation for the bidders that they have sent out. Do you see that?
7 April
2020. There was an invitation letter for the bidders or to participate in the open tender.
Yes, there is a letter here dated 7 April. Invitation to bid.
Yes.
Caption invitation to bid, yes.
And then it was highlighted in the letter the information regarding the bidding.
Yes, Council.
Please read the first 2-3 paragraphs.
The letter is from the Birkam Area Council dated 7 April 2020. Caption invitation to bid.
Yes.
In bracket tender. The Birkama Area Council has budgeted funds for the drilling of 2 boreholes and their accessories in Fonyi Bondale and Fonyi Jarol districts in the West Coast region, and intends to place a contract for the drilling of the boreholes and their accessories. 2, the boreholes are to be drilled in Rankon Kunda, Wasadu Ward, and the Kangwali Kanjabut village in Bantanjang Ward, Fonyi Bondali and Fonyi Jarol district respectively. The council now invites sealed bids from eligible bidders for the supply of the 2 boreholes and their accessories.
Now you can stop there. That is you are reading the contents of the letter probably sent out for the bidding.
Yes.
Who is that letter addressed to?
This letter, hence it is an open tender, it is addressed to all potential bidders.
Where is it shown in the letter that is addressed to all potential bidders?
That's why, because this letter should go to the newspapers.
Should go to the newspaper.
Yes.
So it should be addressed to the newspaper for the newspaper to publish to all
Yes.
potential bidders.
All potential bidders.
Now, is there any addressee in the letter to indicate that it has even been is letter addressed to any newspaper?
Newspaper. No, there is no address.
No addressee.
No.
It's just a letter with a heading and
Ye-
contents. No addressee.
Yes, Council.
And we don't have any evidence of the advertisement being done.
No, no
And
evidence here.
no evidence of any at any given point in time whether the bidding openings were being done. But we subsequently learned of someone who they intend to give the award to.
I didn't get that, Council.
All the procedures not followed. No advertisement being conducted. At any, they told us that there were 4 bidders. There were no bidding documents from these 4 bidders. Evidence of it in the file.
In the file here, no.
0. We already deal with the file. And then no evidence of bid opening and
Yeah.
how they come about awarding the contract to the individual. So, but we know they awarded the contract to an intended bidder. Is that not the case?
Yes, Council.
But then, interestingly, when you rejected that that you cannot arrive at a decision, you said you cannot arrive at a decision. They wrote back to you for you to consider your decision, and then in trying to meet those anomalies you have highlighted, those shortcomings, on the 15th of June 2021, and they were explaining to you as to why there were inconsistencies in the technical specifications or the bill of quantity, and also the CV of the intended bidder.
Yeah, that's dated 15 June.
Yes.
Yes.
And in relation to the CV of the intended awardee, the intended person that they want to give the award to, they attached awards that Kuntawur Area Council gave to the person that they intended to give the award to. Is that not correct? Do you see that?
Yes.
And then, in trying to convince GPPA, they are saying that even Kuntawur Area Council vouched for this particular individual, this particular contractor.
Yes, Council.
Is that not trying to solicit some special form of preference?
Because most of the documents requested, normally, let's say the past experience, they will ask you to provide evidence of past experience. If you
Yes.
had conducted similar work in other jurisdiction, that particular institution can always prove that in writing, yes.
Yes. But here, you haven't even had evidence of a proper procedure being followed in the first place.
Yeah, that is already established.
Why did you subsequently grant the approval of this particular award?
So, let me.
For an open tender that was supposed to be conducted, which according to the file was never conducted, but was subsequently granted. Mr. Sayang,
Yes.
are we together? Is that a very fair assessment? If I have to say that an open tender which was never conducted as per the file, which was never conducted, no evidence of it being conducted, but then approval was granted for a subsequent successful bidder. Will that be a fair assessment?
Correct. Yes.
Metambura, why is that the case?
If the process is not followed and approval is granted, no, you cannot explain that.
Is
Because
what?
It cannot be explained because it's not justified.
And that is what we have here.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that what we have here?
That's what I was trying to see exactly whether approval was granted, but actually it was granted here.
It was granted.
Yes.
Can you read the grant itself?
The letter dated 22nd June 2021, addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Birkama Area Council, caption, submission of evaluation report and bids. He made reference to the letter. Following careful review of your resubmission evaluation report, based on the information provided and the recommendation made by the members of your contracts committee, I hereby convey to you the authorities' approvals to award contract to BICE Lateral Drilling and Plumbing Enterprise to drill 2 boreholes and its accessories in Fonyi, Bondali, and Fonyi and Jarol district. And
it says based on what?
based on the information provided.
What information is that?
I'm sure it's the submissions from the council, including the bids, because that's the only information.
Which both of you agreed is grossly seriously insufficient for it to be even approved.
Yes. I will still confirm from our office.
No. We are confirming here. This file is here. We're confirming here. When they come, they'll confirm whether they have other documents that are not here.
No.
As far as we are concerned.
I'm not talking about the file. Those documents are never part of the file. The bids from the bidders.
What do you want to confirm?
I mean the bids from the bidders.
Yes.
That's part of the information.
Yes.
The action officer said he based his decision on.
So what do you want to confirm?
Where these bids were, the bids from the 4 bidders, whether they were all submitted.
Would they not be in the file?
No, never. Those bids are never in the file. For the information of the commissioners.
They're never in the file.
Normally they are.
How about the advertisement?
That should be in the file.
How about the bid opening process?
That should be part of the evaluation report.
It should be in the file.
Yes.
But it's not there.
No, there is no evidence of that.
So now, if you were to approve this process today, would you have approved it?
With the information before me here alone?
Yes.
No, I would have taken a different approach.
Mr. Saya, would you have approved it?
Yes.
Yes to what?
To what you've said.
Would you have approved this particular process as it is in the file?
No, based on the
Based on what you have learned?
the information that we have before us, no, approval would not be granted.
So it will be wrong to approve this particular process?
Correct.
Just to summarize briefly and conclude, we had discussed, myself and Mr. Tambura,
Yes,
the
Council.
implications therein.
Yes,
When the procured organizations do not follow procedure in procurement, and procured organizations do not see to it that they follow these procedures, does that just not open every aspect of fraudulent malpractice in this procurement business, thereby putting public funds at risk of corrupt practices by individuals who feel that they have to enrich themselves in public office?
It is more likely than not.
It is highly likely. In
Yes,
fact,
Council.
that will be the case.
Yes, Council.
You know, I asked you one question the last time, and then you did not answer it. In your experience,
Yes.
the DG answered, but I will not tell you what the DG's answer is. In your experience,
Yes.
are you aware of any situation wherein procuring organizations would attempt to corrupt the procuring officials that conduct that work in the authority?
My personal experience, no, sir.
Not someone coming to bribe you or you engaging in bribery, but I'm saying in your experience generally, whether you are aware that these things, they do happen.
At the authority level,
At the procuring organization level, even trying to influence decisions at the level of the authority.
I'm not aware of any incident.
Mr.
Council.
Sanyang? So, but DG said, even him being the Director General, people try to influence his decision. And he will come back, I'm sure, to testify. So you may reconsider your position, because what we have seen in the file throughout this month, are you only going to qualify it as mere mistakes?
Council, with DG, perhaps he is the final decision maker. That is why attempts were made, because at the levels of junior officers, even if they take a decision, the decision can be torn down by the final decision maker, who is the accounting officer. I am not saying that attempts were not made, but I can say that the Director General is the final decision maker, and if attempts were made, to corrupt him, I cannot rule it out.
Will it be a reasonable expectation to kind of say that, based on what we have seen in these files, all of these files, will you conveniently say that these are just basic mistakes, just mere mistakes alone, where you are sitting right now?
Actually, for me, I will not rule it out, because we have come across a lot of issues which, most of which could be attributed to the kind of staff that we have, the low skills, knowledge, and the like. And look at OP instead of OT, which anybody here can know that is either a typo or a mistake.
But anybody would know as well that for single sourcing, if you don't meet the requirements, it should not be granted. Is that the case?
Actually, that I know.
That's basic.
That I know. But when it comes to your assertion, when it comes to influencing or giving inducement, I know that the junior officers must know that even if they try to take something from somebody.
I am not excluding anyone. I am saying the procuring authority. So don't limit it to the junior officers alone.
No.
What I am saying is that, see, with the level of the level of risk that you open, that you allow public funds to be misused at any given point in time. I'm saying you allow it because you are the authority that is supposed to fact check the organizations, so that they cannot just do everything they want to do. So with this level of gross disregard to the rules and regulations, no one will just say these are just mere mistakes.
In the first place, mentioning junior officers doesn't mean that we are, because in the eyes of our Director General, we are junior officers. So I am not excluding anybody. What I am saying is, you have the Director General who, according to you, yes, and he also confirmed here, was attempts were made.
Yes.
And your question was whether, from our experience, we have seen such. And we said that probably that was done because he is the final decision maker. At our level, who under his eyes, we are junior, even if we attempt, probably the decision, we can take something and then the decision is overturned by the Director General. So probably he was attempted because he is the director, he is the final decision maker.
Last question. Are these findings in these files, are they really acceptable?
They are not acceptable.
Under any circumstance?
No, they are not.
Thank you. I believe it's time. Is it not time? Do we have to proceed? Yes.
We will do so on Monday. I believe you have. Mr. Tamra and Mr. Sanyang, there are so many documents that we requested for you to bring to us, and some of these documents we need to admit them in evidence. So kindly check the ones that you need to certify. You certify them so that we can admit these documents. Instead of going through the files, we'll want to admit those documents. We'll just finish up quickly with him Monday morning and then admit all the documents that you have had, so that we will be able to use them to cross-check some of the information that we need to cross-check.
Okay. So
yes, and Mr. Tamura, you gave me some forms. So if there are further forms that you need to give to us, kindly provide them so that we admit them in evidence on Monday, because this one, you gave me 2 for me to peruse. That is the review of prior approval. It's a checklist sort of that you have as an organization to help you assess the files when they come in. And there is the other one, which is captioned panel review of prior approval, which which deals with open and restricted tender for yes. submission. Then the other one is dealing with section A. Yes. Then there is also the forms, the names of the forms and the reference in the regulations. If you have updated that, kindly provide us so that we can make reference to the forms that we see you refer to in the files and in your letters, particularly in the letters, because you always refer back the POs to comply with certain forms, and these forms have corresponding sections in the regulation. And we went through that with Mr. Sanyang, and we found that it was all grossly wrong. So what you make reference to in your letters are always wrong. So he gave me sample, but when we went through, we realized it's the same thing. So if you have corrected version, please provide those ones on Monday.
Yes. Okay, I think that's the list of forms.
Yes, this is the
list of forms.
Name of forms. Mr. Registrar, can you give it to him to check? This is what I'm referring to.
Yes, exactly. This is the list of forms, and this is outdated.
Yeah.
But following review of the regulation, there hasn't been any correlation to the current references. Okay. As we told you the other time, the regulation is under review, and it has not been finalized. That's why we have most of these issues, and most of our forms.
No, because these references were made pursuant to the 2018 regulations, which are still wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I said what we found in your letters and in your files, and the references made there too, are wrong. It's not that you are making the new regulations and then the numbering and all that stuff, but what they made reference to and what is contained in the regulations that are currently being used is wrong.
Yes, we admit that. We realize that. And in fact, internally, we have already started working on that. Internally, but the references are wrong. Regarding those two forms, the checklist,
yes.
One is for the tender, that's open tender and restricted. The other one is for single source request for quotation.
Okay.
So those are the ones currently we are using, yes,
okay.
As a checklist. Regarding the other request for the system audit, I've sent the email to the registrar. I think the report,
yes,
I mean.
What you do is just bring all the ones that you know that they are correct, and we will admit them in evidence so that we will be able to use them in our analysis.
Okay, Council.
All right?
Okay, Council.
Because we will have to be referring to these things, but we will have to get it from you, admit it to show that we got them from you.
Okay, Council.
Right.
Okay, Chair, sorry.
Thank you. So we may rise and have a good evening. Thank you.